I made a ton of mistakes in college, and now I want to show you how to avoid them. Hey everybody, my name is Hisham Khan and welcome to Income Over Outcome, where I give you college and personal finance tips. Now watching my videos, you might think that I've always been an amazing student, which is why I got so many job offers and internships in college. But the truth is, I didn't always have it figured out. My GPA freshman year of college was horrendous. I don't remember what exactly it was. I think it might have been around a 2.1, but it wasn't because I wasn't smart or college was super hard. I just made a bunch of stupid decisions, and looking back on it, they could have been easily avoided. And I see too many college kids make the same exact decisions I made, so hopefully this video helps you learn from my mistakes. I honestly think the best way to learn is to make mistakes, so don't stress over what you do wrong. My failures have taught me way more than my actual successes, but that's the harder way to do it. I touched on that in my video where I talked about how I lost $10,000 in college. Now since I've done it all, I know what exactly works and what doesn't. So let's get into it. The biggest mistake I made freshman year of college was having literally no balance between my social life and school. You've probably seen that triangle that says you can only choose two things: grades, a social life, or sleep. And honestly, when you first start college, it does feel like that. Freshman year, I went with friends and sleep. But let me tell you, there's a sweet spot where you can balance all three. When you first start college, it's easy to get caught up in the glory of everything. For most of us, it's the first time we're living alone, we're surrounded by a bunch of new people, and it's the first time we have real independence. I remember I was super excited to meet new people, and I would spend almost every single waking hour hanging out with people in my dorm. And we all had the same problem. We essentially put school on the back burner and would hang out every single day till like 5 a.m. But the issue is, no one's going to tell you you're doing poorly in your classes, and you won't know how deep of a hole you've dug yourself in until midterms and finals roll around and you realize you know none of your class material. But at that point, it's too late to do anything. The key to success in college is really finding that balance.
The key to more success is using the right soap. I only use Dove soap. Trust me. Trust me.
By the second semester my sophomore year, I cracked the code and was able to get at least 8 hours of sleep every single night and really good grades without sacrificing any time with my friends. It all comes down to time management, setting attainable goals, and then not letting anything distract you from reaching those goals. And I'll go into detail on each of those towards the end of this video. Another big mistake is treating college like high school, and this goes into two categories. The first is those people, like me, who didn't have to try too hard in high school and then go to college with the same mindset. But that doesn't cut it. Like I said earlier, I didn't put much effort into my classes when I first started college, and part of that was because in high school I got by just fine with minimal effort. But the thing with college is that your grades are based on such a small amount of assignments. You might have just a midterm and final that make up 80% of your grade, and the other 20% comes from smaller assignments. So if you bomb one of those tests, then that could destroy your GPA. Odds are, what you did in high school isn't gonna work in college. If you were someone who didn't study at all, you better learn to study. If you were someone who would just cram for exams one night before, then you better start to study more efficiently, because cramming isn't gonna work in college. It's not that it's hard to do well on a college test, but you need to have a deep understanding of the material, so starting to study one night before isn't going to help you that much. I found it best to have a set amount of time each week where I could review my notes for every single class. That way everything stayed fresh and didn't have to worry when midterms or finals came around. In the second category, we have perfectionists, or those people who always got A+ or high 90s in high school, but then when they go to college, they start getting B's and get extremely stressed, putting in a bunch of extra effort just to get a few extra points. Now this might matter a little bit more if you want to go to grad school, but guess what? Most jobs and internships couldn't care less if you have a 4.0 versus a 3.7 versus a 3.5 and even a 3.0. So the reward of getting a few extra points is not worth all the extra effort. All that matters is that you have decent grades, and anything above a 3.0 is pretty good. Your extra effort is much better spent learning real skills that will make you more hireable, and I'll talk about how to do that in just a bit. The next mistake I see a lot of college kids making is trying to do too many things at once. That's a for sure way to burn out. Now don't get me wrong, being involved is great, and you need to be doing a bunch of different things in college, but you also need to check yourself to make sure the effort you're putting into everything is truly worth it. I know some people who were in a bunch of clubs, had internships and jobs, and they would get home at like 9 p.m. and would have to do all of their homework. They essentially had no balance in their lives. The way I learned to balance everything I was doing was to start off with just 1 or 2 things to focus on every single semester and put my full attention into those. Once I became comfortable with those, then I can move on to more. Your first year, I think it's most important to focus on 2 things: your grades and making friends, because that's going to give you a good foundation for the rest of your time at college. Since I messed up my first year and only focused on friends, my main goal my sophomore year was to fix my grades, and that took about half of the first semester. But once my grades were solid, I started to get more involved on campus, joining clubs that could help me with my career. And then I used that foundation to get an internship my second semester sophomore year, and then I basically just built on that. I would only start something new once I felt comfortable with what I was doing. That way I knew I could balance the added workload. Throughout college, I had 4 internships and multiple on-campus jobs, and I was also involved in a few clubs. But I never felt burnt out because I took it slow and steady and did it at my own pace. That's a lot better than just jumping into a bunch of different things at once. It's way more valuable to choose a few specific things and become great at those than just participating in a whole bunch of different stuff. Another huge mistake is just doing the bare minimum. A lot of people go to college and just focus on their grades and school. But if that's all you do, you're never going to get the most out of your college experience. Whether your goal is to go to grad school or get a job, people want to know that you're a well-rounded person. If all you do is go to class and get your work done, then you're not going to have much to stand out, because literally everybody does that. A 4.0 is useless if you don't have any real experience to go behind it. You need to be proactive in reaching your goals because no one is going to hand you anything, and college is the easiest time to do that because you have access to so many resources no one else has. One really important thing a lot of people don't realize is important until later on in college is networking. Now, how to start networking could be confusing, but it's basically just getting to know people in a professional manner. A great way to start is just by talking to your professors. If there's a class you really enjoy, then go to that professor's office hours and just have a casual conversation with them. Professors tend to be experts in their industry and they know a lot of people, so who knows, they might have an internship or research position for you. Most of the internships I had were because of networking. I got a marketing internship just because I was in this club and decided to talk to our guest speaker who owned a marketing company. And the only reason I found out about the company I'm working at right now is because I went to this professor's office hours telling him what I want to do with my life, and he said I would be a great fit for this place and told me I should apply. Another thing that works out really well is reaching out to alumni that work at places you want to be working at. I spoke more about how to network and get internships in this video over here, so you might want to check it out. But everything you do outside of the classroom is really what makes college worth it, so don't do the bare minimum. The most obvious mistake you can make in college is procrastination. It's probably the worst possible thing you could do, but everyone does it. I know we've all been in the spot where we have an assignment due at midnight and we're sweating bullets trying to get it done on time. And by a miracle, we submit it at 11:59. I absolutely hated getting myself into those situations because they're so stressful, but I was able to learn how to avoid them. In college, if you procrastinate long enough, your work is just going to be mediocre at best. It usually takes time to produce high quality work. Procrastination could be the difference between an A and a C. How you deal with procrastination is different for everybody. I could make a whole entire video dedicated to it, but real quick, here's what worked well for me. The 2 main reasons people procrastinate are because of a lack of motivation and because of distractions. I knew if I went to study with my friends, there's a 0% chance any of us would get any work done. So what I would do is make a list of every single thing I needed to get done that day and then block out a specific time where I could be alone in my room. I would keep my phone all the way on the other side of my room and not talk to anybody until I got what I needed done. But this right here was the key into bringing balance into my life. I would make my own deadlines for assignments way before the actual due dates. So if there was an assignment due in 3 weeks, I would put it on my calendar as due in 2 weeks. That way, even if I procrastinated, I got it done before the actual deadline. That gave me extra time to actually review my work and make sure it was the best thing I could submit, instead of rushing to get it done and submitting something mediocre. It's a big reason I was able to get my grades up so fast and my life was way less stressful. I became super efficient in getting my work done on time, and that actually led me to having way more free time and being able to hang out with my friends and have fun. The 3 takeaways I had from all of my mistakes are that I need to hold myself accountable, get rid of any distractions so I can actually get my work done, and then know when to step away so I don't get burnt out. Now, if you haven't subscribed, you better click here and do that, and feel free to check out one of these videos. I'll see you next time, but until then, peace.